All set.
Good morning. Welcome to the Summit's online student panel session. It's my honor to introduce the moderators for this student panel, Kiara Williams and Dr. Michele Forte. Kiara is a recent graduate of Georgia State University with a degree in human learning and development. Kiara currently works as the founding program manager of Braven's Leadership and Career Accelerator course at the City College of New York, where she supports students in securing strong first jobs. Kiara also has worked with organizations such as D2L, the WCET, Every Learner Everywhere, and the OLC as a speaker and thought partner on student-centered topics. Kiara aspires to continue making a positive impact in change-making spaces. Dr. Michele Forte is the program manager for the online student supports initiatives for SUNY Online. In this role, Michele facilitates and supports several multi-campus, cross-functional communities of practice, including those focused on early alerts and the implementation of online orientation, advising, and readiness tools at the system level. Michele is a coach with the New York State Student Success Center, Coaching Academy, as well as the SUNY Reach Initiative. Michele is also an associate professor at SUNY Empire State University and a licensed clinical social worker in New York State. She has extensive experience in mentoring and coaching diverse organizational student populations in various educational and nonprofit settings. So please join me in welcoming our moderators and our student panelists.
Amazing. I'm so honored to be here with everyone, the SUNY community, and my fellow panelists. We love a student panel. I'm so excited. I love any opportunity to highlight a student voice and to share their lived experiences. So I hope you all learn something new. And please, we have time for questions, so have them ready as well. So to begin, I want our panelists to introduce yourselves, your school, any highlights of your educational journey. So would you like to start, Gabrielle?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Gabrielle Vann, and I attend SUNY Monroe Community College. This is my last year at SUNY Monroe. My major is business administration. I'm a Dean's List recipient. Online is just different for the moment.
Hi, my name is Didem. I'm from Turkey and I attend to Monroe Community College. I have been spoken English for 4 years, so excuse my mistakes and ignore me. And I will graduate this year and will pursue my degree in Baruch College in finance. And online is really hard.
Hello, my name is Hailey Luelloff. I went to Niagara County Community College, did a couple of courses. It was very hard for me, very challenging, but I am pursuing a career in nursing and I'm trying to get into Isabella Graham Hart School of Nursing in Rochester, New York. Like I said, online was incredibly difficult. I was not ready for it.
My name is Sandra Walker. I am a student as well as an employee at SUNY Canton. I started working at SUNY Canton in 2019 and started back in class. Started back in classes in 2021. And I originally graduated from SUNY Canton in 1989, back when there were no online. Yes, I'm taking the longest path from an associate's to a bachelor's. So I've taken online at SUNY Empire State and online and flex at SUNY Canton.
Awesome. The length of time does not matter. You're finishing, and that's what most important.
Right.
Awesome. Welcome to our panelists. So as Susan said, my name is Kiara. I graduated from Georgia State University in 2021. I'm a very, very proud Panther. I will rep my school to the end of time. I'm so excited to be with you all in Syracuse. And as a student that has experienced online, hybrid, virtual, in person, all the modalities, I'm so excited to share this time with you all and ask these important questions and have our audience absorb a lot of knowledge from all of you. So I want to ask, I want to know about a time where you all felt that an online or virtual setting really resonated with you. It really, you remember it to this day, something stood out, you were engaged, you were learning. I want to know about a class or a situation in which you really felt strongly and very positively about it. So Gabrielle, would you like to start?
I would say I have two experiences. One with my professor, Borby, she taught me principles of marketing. Now, her class is the most I have to do out of all my classes. Like, there is discussions, there's a packback, there's always a voice thread, then there's also essays and questions and exams. But with principles of marketing, like what resonated with me for that particular class is she challenged me to make my life in a more professional way. She even made us go and fix our LinkedIn. Like,
I remember.
so it really helped me to be a better me. And then my other experience was my statistics class. It was weird. For me, it was like the least helpful thing, but it's like if I sent an email within 24 hours, there was a Zoom setup and he was ready to assist, like, you're gonna get an A in this class. There's no question. So that's what resonated.
Nice, great experiences.
I took JS class. I just liked the name, the name coded me, Digital Earth. I never thought that it was a GPS systems. Then I realized that I took a GPS system class. So, but I couldn't drop it. So, but my teacher, he was really helpful. And whenever I emailed him, he answers back like in 5 minutes. It was really, it wasn't like an online class. It was like flexible or a regular class. Then I got A, but he helped me a lot. We had some Zoom schedules. We talked on the phone, by the way. He helped me. So this is the best thing. And another thing is my marketing teacher. She's here, by the way. I totally agree with you, but she helped me to speak over a camera. So because I was really shy because I'm learning English. I have an accent and I don't know how to express myself sometimes. So with her, and she told me one day, she told me that nobody is perfect. Please be yourself and do it whatever you do. I never forget her words. Then I tried to speak on the camera and then one day I succeeded and I'm very happy and thank you.
For me, a teacher helped me out when I was in desperate need of help when it came to my courses. The course was called Web Helping, but it was more about like how to be a counselor. My teacher, he definitely gave me really good feedback, really good advice. And he even told me that I was more involved than a lot of other students that he even had. He told me a lot of different things. I messaged him a lot and it was really easy to actually contact him. And we had personal conversations, which made me feel a little bit more comfortable talking to a teacher. I usually have trouble asking for help sometimes, and it made me try to reach out to more of my teachers. It was still difficult, but I did as best as I definitely could.
Last semester was the semester that I took operations and product management. Thank you. And the professor in that course was very passionate about the course. And she also did a lot of overheads where she'd write out the math problems. And then after the fact, she would scan them in and add them to course materials. So you would have them to reference back. So if you couldn't take notes that quickly in class, you would have that as a guide. So I found that to be very helpful. And this past 7-week semester, I took a course, reached out to the professor, and he made me a video to help me like grasp the concepts. And that was super helpful because he was traveling and actually couldn't meet with me live in person, but took the time out of his schedule to record that for me. And I had it and I could reference back to it over time.
Awesome. I've seen some common themes here, lots of expectations backed up by high support. I think that really means a lot in an environment. And when you're able to be yourself and you're pushed to be your authentic, genuine self, come as you are, I feel like that also makes a difference in being comfortable in your learning environment. Those are great. And I just want to set the tone, everyone. This is a conversation. You all are tuning into a conversation with students. They're sharing their experiences. There's no fancy slide deck, but these are the experts just right in front of us right here. So thank you all for sharing your positive experiences. So I want to ask next, when you enter an online course, from your experience, what are some things that you look for? What are some things that you hope for in an online course?
So when I open up my online courses, the first thing I look to see is who's my professor, especially if it's a professor that I had before. So I think my business professor, Professor Corral, if it's his class, I don't even read the syllabus. I
Don't
really-
say that.
No, I'm being honest because it's structured the same exact way. Like it literally is. Like I know what I'm expecting. And then when I sit down, I actually look through everything and I'm like, oh yeah, this is expected as Professor Corral. This is what he wants. This is how he's going to make it happen. And one thing about Professor Corral specifically, like he's good with emails. Like say for instance, like last year, I got sick out of nowhere. I never get sick. And I emailed him. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm sick. I've been sick for like a week. Like, I don't know what's going on, but this is what the doctor is saying. And for some strange reason, I didn't fail that class. Like he extended it, gave me the time to fix it. I fixed it and we moved on. So that's basically what I look for. I look for familiar faces, right? Really.
Absolutely. Familiarity. That's awesome. Didem?
I always check, is there any finals? I always check. Always. Or there's a project. So I have to prepare myself at the end of the semester. And I check the modules. If it's some teachers, they don't put the modules in a line. They just mix them. I have to see in a prepared documentation that, first week, what I'm going to do, the second week, what I'm going to do, because I'm an online student, I can't ask every time. So I need everything prepared and presented to my my page, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
That's I do.
So you look for that organization,
Yes,
that structure.
It's very important.
Yeah, awesome. Hailey?
For me, what was important is definitely being able to contact the professors and not being afraid to do so. If I needed to have something done, like there's a report that I have to write, I wish I had a calendar that had told me ahead of time when it would be due, because it would be on that day. It would be like, oh, this is due today. And I'm like, oh, great, 5 minutes. I got to get this done. But other than that, it's mainly, I just want to be able to see there's a help tab or something like that, where it's like you're trying to find your grades or you're trying to find a certain professor. You have to dig through a lot of different things. I wish I had more of a help tab where I was able to click on it and just search up a bar saying, okay, I'm looking for this professor, or okay, I'm looking for this grade, and it could easily pop up for me. And it'd be helpful for me with time management.
So again, that structure, that communication aspect, just knowing that your professor is open and helpful and ready to support. I feel like that definitely means a lot to students, I've noticed. And when Gabrielle said you don't read the syllabus sometimes, look, this past semester was my first semester putting on the hat of a college instructor as a program manager of a course. So when students don't read the syllabus, don't say that out loud to any But continue, Sandra. What are some things that you look for in your online course?
I mean, one advantage I have is I'm on campus and working, so I know a lot of the professors and like who grades, easier, who's really tough. I'm to the point in my degree now where I'm at tough and there's no way around it. And I have struggled, but with the help of the video and some other assistance, I ended up with a decent grade and I've got another 7 weeks and then I just have a couple electives and I'll be done. I mean, I look at the syllabus if it has the assignments or I go into Brightspace and try to map out on a calendar the whole semester, because with work and school and everything, being an adult learner, I have to have deadlines. This last 7-week course I was in, for whatever reason, there was deadlines of 5 p.m. for some assignments. And I'm glad I noticed that early, because if I had counted on it usually being 11:59, I would have been in a lot of trouble. So just like paying attention and mapping out, and I mean, as much detail as you can get out there about your course to prepare students for the semester so that they know what they're, what's expected of them and every assignment. So yeah, that was
So laying out those expectations.
Yeah.
Up front especially. I
Right.
remember being in college and the syllabus would have some syllabus, not all, but some of them would have all those due dates all in order, and I could put them in my calendar. I am a calendar person. I tried to be, and now I am. And just having all those dates laid out definitely helped me prepare or time manage. And time management is still a work in progress, but every day is a new day. Every day is a new day. So that's awesome. Those are definitely good things to look for when you open the class or the website for the first time. That support, that communication, being open, instructors and professors being open for help and emails, all that. So that's really awesome. I want to turn a little bit to things that maybe haven't worked. So I want to hear about maybe some communication tools or approaches in your experience that were not so helpful or didn't really work for you. Yeah, you can go ahead, Gabrielle.
What did not work for me, like 100% did not work, is realizing that I did not have enough time to do something and waiting on that last day to send that email saying, hey, listen, this is tougher than I thought. I'm not going to get it. And when it didn't work was my accounting class. And it was a shot. It was a gut shot because I aimed for an A. My grade was an A, but my professor was not having it. Anything past that 11:59 mark, I lost 20%. So although statistically I got it all right, I got an A-. And that's what made me realize that time management is like key.
Yeah, absolutely. So Didem, is there anything in your experience that maybe your instructor professor did that might have not worked best for you?
I think my graphic design teacher, he just wrote a syllabus. It was like 59 pages. I cannot read 59 pages. So he has videos, but he never organized the videos that this is the first week video, this is the second week. So I have to find myself. I have to read all 59 pages and still couldn't understand. Of course, the terminology is very hard for me because I never learned a graphic design terminology. And I asked him because my marketing teacher, Professor Borbe, she scheduled a meeting at the beginning of the semester. So we always ask our questions and concerns, we discuss, and this only one time, all semester. But I asked him, I offered him, and he said, no, we don't do this. And, it didn't work. So I didn't understand. And this is the first time that I got C because I'm an honor student. All my grades are A, but this time I got C because he didn't help me. So
Not
I'm very
being
sorry for that.
Yeah. So just not being available to help, that's really impactful. We definitely expect our instructors and professors to be present, just like they expect us to be present. So that's definitely a good call out. Hailey, what about you?
For me, it was mainly, I just realized that I have ADHD as well as anxiety. And for me, my professors all scheduled books for us. They had us read online books and write what we learned from that. For me, I didn't learn anything from those books. I have to learn in person, and the teacher has to be inspired and has to have this passion about what they're learning or what they're teaching themselves for me to actually keep wanting to do it. Another thing that didn't help me was when the teachers weren't exactly, I know there was one that was really passionate about what he was doing and helping me. Some of them, it was harder to reach and to just ask questions about. And when sometimes I would post information of a book that I read and I would post it about my life, they would tell me that is incorrect and actually give me an F. So it was incredibly difficult in that case. They weren't as supporting.
I want to ask that in that course, did that professor ever ask for feedback anytime throughout the semester?
Yeah, they did. It was a lot of different feedback. It was actually psychology, believe it or not, which has to do with the brain, which I guess that doesn't work out. And it was just something that interested me. And I was like, wait a minute, like this information that I'm giving you is my life experience compared to what I'm reading. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? And what she had said for the feedback that I gave her was, well, the studies show that this is not true. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it's psychology. So
That's very interesting. All right. Sandra, what about you? Anything that did not work in your courses?
I guess what I've had previously is just read these chapters, do these quizzes, read these chapters, do these quizzes. And I mean, I like discussion post and a little bit more of like recorded lectures or things of that nature. One of the things that I've really enjoyed in these last few classes I've taken is that they've recorded live lectures. But they've also not just been sitting there lecturing. I mean, they're like giving like real world examples or like showing a YouTube video of something that like really, closes a circle and makes you think, okay, this is how this is really going to happen. Instead, I mean, I can read a book on my own. So I want to get something from the interaction.
Absolutely. So tying it back to those real world experiences, making it relevant to today's world or your own life, those things kind of stood out to you, helped you absorb a little bit better. Yeah, no, that's great. So I want to ask now, we just talked about some things that may have not worked, some not helpful approaches, but I want to talk about any maybe a communication tools or approaches that were present in your course that did help, that really stood out to you as far as just keeping you engaged, keeping you in the loop. So anything that your professor instructor did that really stood out to you?
I personally hate it, but all my professors do it. We have a discussion post about every topic. Every single module
We love
has a
discussion.
discussion post. And you're required to do at least at three, like all my professors are 3, a main post and 2 comments. And it's like,
I'm getting war flashbacks.
like what? But it does help because like maybe like for me, I think I'm not sure if it was marketing or business, but I was reading a discussion post that I had a certain idea of how it's supposed to go. Then I read a response that I had to actually like a post that I had to respond to. And I'm like, interesting. I didn't think of it that way. So like it worked. I dread it because it's the whole idea of like sitting there, like writing it, then reading someone else, but it is actually helpful.
You hate it, but you love it. Yeah, it happens. Internal conflict.
I mentioned that I think the first week of the semester, if they schedule a Zoom call with us,
Okay.
only 1 hour, like Professor Borbe did with us, we can ask the questions, we can understand the teachers' expectations, and we can understand the classes structure, and then we do better. I'm pretty sure for that, because you can, if you know the teacher, if you understand the professor, sorry, not the teacher, if you understand the professor, you will do better. It's for sure. And may I tell, we have I took 2 statistic classes and 2 math classes. So can you tell Pearson change the videos, because it's from 1980s, please.
You hear that, Pearson?
Okay,
Look, this is what we want. We want the genuine, real feeling. Hailey, what about you? So things that communication that really did help, that you appreciated in your experiences.
It was definitely the discussion questions where it would make us look back at other students who possibly posted about a paragraph that we read in a book. A lot of times I would look at what the students had posted and I'd be like, oh, I kind of missed that in the book. Because when you're reading it, you kind of get like a head fog almost while you're trying to read it. And a lot of times the professor would be like, I actually missed that in the book too. So it was kind of fun just to like see those little comments, and then we would have to comment like 2 of them. We'd have to comment on 2 of them and say our experiences with that book, and that did actually help me to understand what we were exactly reading.
Okay.
And when I said discussion posts before, I did not mean like on every single thing. So the class we do. The class that I had, I just finished up the 7-week course. We just had 2 discussion posts for the entire thing. And I thought that was like a good number, not like, I'm not talking every week or every other day or anything like that. So don't get me wrong there. Don't load people up with discussion posts. One of the things that I really enjoyed though in the discussion post is when the professor joins in. And it's not just the students going back and forth. And I had that in one of my classes, and I really enjoyed her like directing us, and it not just being, us kind of like off in the wilderness doing our own thing. Like she was kind of like guiding the discussion. So that I thought was really helpful.
That guidance.
Yeah.
I can imagine that. I also like when they're in it and they're interacting, they're engaging, because at the end of the day, it's an information on both sides. We're both learning, we're both experiencing and growing throughout the semester. So those are all good things. I'm glad you had some positive experiences with communication and class layout. So I actually want to take a minute. Is there any questions from the virtual audience? Oh, from the real audience, yes.
Do you want to grab that one? All right, Ed, you're up.
Hi, I'm Ed Beck. I'm an instructional designer at SUNY. I've also been in online classes too, where there was no interaction. And so you had to wonder, like, are there other students in this class? Am I alone in here? And I hear you, what you're saying, like discussion boards aren't always the answer. So my question is going to be, what's your favorite kind of collaborative assignment or assignment that lets you see other students' work that's not a discussion board? Or maybe uses the discussion board tool, but like maybe in a little different way than that formulaic one post and 2 responses. So either a tactic that somebody used on a discussion board or an alternative assignment.
So, and she's here, Professor Borbeat's approach, Voicethread. Like Voicethread is awesome. We see like the people in our classes, because at the initial Voicethread, you have to always introduce yourself, talk about yourself. You have to make a video. So it's like, okay, yeah, there are other people here. Great. Then we have to make this, it's not always every week, but like there's certain topics that we have to make a Voicethread about, and we get to hear their comments on what we've said, whether they agree on it, disagree on it. So it's like a classroom, but not really.
Okay, so when they incorporate that human aspect into things, awesome. So the question was favorite collaborative project. Yeah.
For me, I didn't have exactly a favorite because all of them were actually you have to answer 2 of the sentences, and that was basically it. And just reading the book and just being like, okay, well, this is my personal experience. See how the teacher reacts to that. I wish there was definitely more involved.
Okay.
So one of the courses I had, the teacher had like an open forum, like at the top of the discussion post. And that stayed open the whole semester. So you could go back and forth with your classmates. And again, she would jump in occasionally to give information. And I liked that format. I thought that was really nice, because you can bounce ideas off of each other and just ask a question instead of just going and, I mean, doing a discussion post, doing 2 responses, and then getting a grade and feedback at the end. It's kind of like if you get that feedback, or if you're able to have the interaction during the semester, I think is a lot more, makes you feel more involved.
Yeah. Gabrielle, did you want to add something? Oh, Didem?
I use circling, but nobody's there. Like there is circling and I ask some questions, but I never get a reply from my friends. So I only discussion boards and Voicethread, and we have packback questions. I don't like it very well.
What are packback questions?
Packback.
What is that?
If you have a subject,
Mhm.
you ask a question and you answer, and then you have to answer 2 of you.
So those
Let me-
structured discussions.
Yeah, you can explain.
Yeah, let me
please.
explain it better. So packback is basically, it's a program that like Professor Borbe gives us a topic. We write a question, we give supporting evidence to support the question and how we believe. It has to be open-ended. It can't be like, oh, what is the color of the American flag? Your post will get flagged. Like you will get 0 points for that. It has to be an open-ended question. And then you have to have supporting evidence where you got it from a website that supports what you're talking about. Then you read somebody else's packback. Then you use your point on a thesis section to support what you're saying, whether it agrees with the post that was there or not. So packback is kind of cool.
You like it? Those have been positive experiences.
Yeah.
No, look.
For me, it's kind of cool because I understand like it's broken down into 3. So as long as when I submit it, my packback says 90, that means I got the 33% that I need for my first post, and I just need 2 other posts and I'll get full credit. So like for me, it's kind of simple. What about you, Dan?
Dina, keep it real with us. Do you like packback?
I don't like those practices.
Okay.
I want to group practices, but I think it's impossible for online students. I'm not sure. But if there is a possibility, I would like to work with my classmates.
Gotcha.
It is better.
Yeah, and that's an important call out. And I think Sandra was talking about this, that open forum, that open discussion, things that you can often do in person when you're in a room together, but when you're virtual, it's easy to lose that human aspect. So how do we get that back? How do we connect with each other and your classmates? And or if you're on Zoom, you see a lot of blank screens, but I think that human, that communication, open communication, I feel like sometimes we lose that, and sometimes that's what helps us the most get through classes, when you can freely share ideas, share knowledge. So those are definitely things to think about, is the human aspect of it all. So I want to open the audience again. Another question? Yes.
Hi, I'm Donna Simiel, and I'm from Niagara County Community College, so I'd be very interested to speak with you. And it's funny because I could tell by what you were saying what professors you were talking about. So we don't know many names. No, I understand. I work with them directly, so I understand. My question was to you was when your assignments were graded, what was the best way that you received feedback? So was it written? Was it video? How did they give you feedback? Did you feel that you got feedback the way you should have? Was it enough? Was it just on your mistakes, or was it on, you did a good job? So
I love that question. Feedback. So how was it?
My English teachers, like I have so many English teachers, of course. My English teachers always write, because if it's English, they have to show me my grammar mistakes, or if I use the pronoun, everything. But my math teacher, he has to take a video, because I have to understand. It depends on the class, but I always get, I love to get feedbacks, because if I want to improve myself, I have to understand and take the feedbacks inside me, and then gain more confidence, and then write it again. So I think my interpersonal speech teacher, which I'm taking this class this semester, she's also giving me some psychological feedbacks as well. If I write something sad, she always tell me that, please, feel free, because we had a very enormous earthquake in Turkey. So I wrote a paper for that. And she helped me, she gave me some psychology, like mentally, how
Resources?
do we say? Yeah, like, no, mentally advices, like mentally
Yeah, so emotional support.
Yeah, she emotionally supported me. So feedbacks are really important. And if the teachers keep their saying in a kind way, we always appreciate. Sometimes they use some strict words, which we don't like it.
So that constructive feedback.
Okay, so all of my courses that I've ever taken at MCC, there's always a comment section, and our professors always tell us, listen, you can give me a paper that's just 1 page or 6 pages. When I give it back to you, after you see your grade, read the comments. So if I did a great job, my professor will be, outstanding job, Gabrielle, keep it up. If I did a terrible job, hey, listen, you see question number 5? This is how it's supposed to go. It's not really meant that way. Question number 10, maybe, or if it's a part question, they literally go through everything just like it would happen in a classroom. Like, they tell us. So it's like positive or negative, it's all constructive criticism.
Awesome. Yeah. Hailey, what about you?
That's better. For my classes, I did get feedback, constructive. It may have been a little bit not as constructive as I was hoping it would be. It was mainly, this is wrong. What can you do differently? And I'm like, I don't even know where you're going on this. But a lot of times, some of my teachers gave me very constructive feedback where they're like, I want to hear more about this. Like, they were trying to get me to talk more about the discussion that I was trying to talk about. But like you said, the teachers.
For feedback, I think I never got any feedback recently on like our midterm or final. And I would have liked to known like the couple questions that I got wrong, like what they were, just for curiosity's sake and going forward. But other feedback for that class, he actually gave me more feedback than I put into the assignment. I was amazed that I'm like, this is more information than the syllabus has in it. So I was, that was a lot. But yeah, it definitely helps to do better in the future and to know what you're doing right, what you need to work on. I really like the idea of the voice threads. I have not heard of that before. And I think that's one of the things too in online is that with the voice threads, you'd have the tone, and so much is lost in communication with the tone. So I'm going to definitely bring that back.
Yes. I love that you named the tone. That's a part of face-to-face communication, something that is also lost when you're just reading text or, reading a discussion post. You really lose that. How are they saying it? It's like, that was wrong. Is it like, oh, that was wrong? Or like, no, that's wrong. So it's all lost in some methods of communication, but feedback is absolutely how we grow. And we really appreciate that when we get constructive feedback. Do we have another question from the?
Hold on. Virtual items, not real. We want to make sure we include them. So
Oh, yeah.
One more in-room question.
Okay.
We have to take it because it is Professor Voicethread.
Yes, I'm the person that has the loaded class. The feedback Voicethread versus packback was very, very helpful. I disabled text in Voicethread, so you have to do video or audio. But my real question is packback versus what we have thought of the traditional discussion, like in Blackboard or now in Brightspace. My thought process in that is because I feel very strongly that young people are not trained to allow themselves to ask questions in the business world. The boss says, hey, what do you think? And everybody just kind of sits there. And organizations don't change if you don't question the boss. And that's kind of my thought process behind kind of making you ask the question and having students, answer that question, as opposed to an instructor-led question in more of a traditional discussion board where everybody answers the same question. What do you think about that?
So my expectations coming into SUNY Online is like, if you actually pay attention to the whole thing, SUNY educators literally let you know that they expect us to ask a million miles of questions. Like, it's in orientation. It's something that we all are supposed to do. So going in, knowing that they expect me to ask a million miles of question was like, yes, great. Now I can nag them as much as I want about everything. So, and I do agree with you, Professor Boribi, that like asking questions is really how you get to grow. Because if I didn't ask a lot of the questions that I asked, it would have been like, oh yeah, I'm just going to do it this way. And let's see how this works. So questions help.
Follow up. Well, it's more of a, and I think the question actually comes back to you. Do you? Sorry, online folks. Dean Dyer again. I'm wondering, it's Professor. Are you giving that explanation to students about why you're doing the packback in the course, so that you are coming into those discussions knowing why are we doing the discussions this way?
I state that in my up front. Now, whether they remember it or not.
That's a different story.
I just said I state that in my Zoom introduction meeting up front when I lay out the details. Yeah.
She's very detailed.
We're coming to you online.
Yeah. Does anyone else want to contribute to that question? So
Only like if it's marketing class, yes, I can find questions, but now I'm taking the business applications class. So I don't have any questions, Excel versus Access. You know, I can't create it. I can find a question, but I can find, I just Google it and ask a question and then get the answer. So I think it depends on the class for backpack questions.
Okay.
Okay.
We have some really good questions here, so.
Yeah, no, ask away. Ask away.
So the question was asked, could the students please explain their difficulties and share their experiences related to the statement mentioned, online courses are hard? So just to elaborate on that.
That's a great question. So panelists, the question was elaborating more. A lot of you mentioned that online courses are hard. So what makes it hard?
Okay, so what makes online classes hard is it's not not having your professor right there, like in a classroom. Like, okay, I know I go to class Monday and Thursday. We are here for 2 hours, 50 minutes. I can ask all the questions right there. Well, like it makes it difficult because you are doing the grunt of the work all on your own. Like everything is done on your own. Like, although there's the videos that they provide, you still have to sit down and read the book on your own, like interpret it on your own. The only time you really communicate with your professors is if you come into a hurdle, like, hey, listen, I read chapter 10 and I have no clue what they're talking about. That's the only really time you're actually like having real conversations, is if something is wrong.
So the lack of community.
Yeah.
Okay. You can keep it in your hand. Go ahead.
If you want to succeed in online class, first you need a discipline, because if there's no teacher to tell you that you have to study, there's nobody, there is no mother, anything. So if you have the discipline, and then you have to be a good researcher, because if you don't understand, like Pearson classes, I found so many videos that I have to learn statistics by myself. I don't have anyone. So if you have the discipline and if you have the ambition and maybe some, I think it's, how do I say? You have to understand what they're telling you, because nobody is telling you. You are just watching and understanding. So this is why it's hard. If this year I'm going to try the in-person classes, then I can understand what is the difference between the online classes and the in-person. But now I just say online is hard, but maybe next year I will tell you that in-person is hard too. So I'm not sure.
That's real. Good.
We might just go to another question if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. The question was asked, would the students prefer if each course in a program had a similar course template so that there was a consistency to the format?
Actually, they do. It's weird. Like I had to think about it a little bit, but they actually do. So when it comes out of the business department, like, and it's a straight business course, it's the same template. Like I've noticed it's the same template, like discussion. There's this other thing other than Pearson, I can't remember that you do. And like it is like when it comes to math, the professors are exactly the same. Like it's a video and you do the questions with him. And then after you do the questions with him, like there's a midterm, they might not be a midterm, but the lower math, I believe, doesn't come with a midterm. But when you go to statistics and calculus, there's definitely a midterm and a final. But it is like at Monroe, at least. I don't know about any other school, but like at Monroe, it is.
Do you find that consistency to be helpful, or do you think different courses require different structures?
I find it very helpful.
Okay. What about you?
Mine is different. Like my statistic 1 was different, and now my statistic 2 is different because I don't have midterm and final, my statistic 2, but in the statistic 1, I I had a final, and in the finals, everybody thinks that we are online students, so we can just, cheat something else. No, we have a camera and our instructor is watching us, so we cannot cheat. We just study and, get the grades.
Is it more of a, is it a project at the end of the
Yes.
year?
This time.
That's what I had.
Okay, but there's no final, like there's no
But still,
exam.
It's still a final.
Hailey, what about you, Hailey and Sandra?
I would probably say that there was definitely consistency with the course material and everything like that. It was just incredibly hard for me when it came to having a job at the same time. And I was basically working a manager position, even though I'm not considered a manager, because we have so little people at my job. So I was working nights, I was working days, I was working afternoons, I was working until 12 sometimes.
And so do you found that consistency in each course to be helpful?
It was helpful, yes, but I wish there was like more support for the students through the professors.
Okay, gotcha. Sandra, what about you?
So when I started, we were on Blackboard still, and then we switched to Brightspace. So I'd kind of gotten used to one thing and then it went to another. So I'm still kind of getting used to Brightspace. But yeah, I like a consistent format. I feel like some of the classes are built out better, I guess, in the online format, and some seem like I know where to go to get information, and some are formatted where I'm like, I gotta dig to find this. So I wish, I don't know, like everything, I guess, was like, and I don't know if it is like vetted by somebody where that like if you're a first time student, like this is where you go to get this, like it is more of a structure.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's 12:30, so yes.
I'm going to jump into another question. Is that okay? Okay, so it was asked, did the students go back to the discussions to see other comments, or when you're done with the discussion and you've done your, you're done and you don't go back?
Oh, once the discussion is over, I close it. I never reopen it. The only thing I do is I go to the grade section. I go, great, okay.
That's real. That's real.
The same, so.
Same.
You look at discussions again after?
So the class that I just took that just had the 2 discussion boards, after the first discussion was over, the professor took it down, like, because you weren't allowed to do a late discussion post at all. So like that Sunday night done. And he also took down all of the, you had to have all of the information for the final exam. He took down all of the PowerPoints, all of the information, and actually did it a day early.
Oh, wow.
So that was interesting for everybody.
So when you say that was interesting, would you say that that was not very helpful?
That no, it wasn't helpful because he said that the final was going to open on such and such day. I got the email or pulse notification from Brightspace, and it was like the finals open, and it's like you go out to the class and it's like that's all there is the final exam, and there's nothing to refer back to.
Yeah.
So makes you be glad that you're a prepared student and you downloaded all those PowerPoints earlier.
Oh, and if you're not, that's
I actually had the same experience, and I downloaded everything on my computer, and then my computer crashed.
Oh.
So I lost all the information, but the students, we actually band together and we emailed each other and we're like, okay, what was this? What was this? And we all got our information and we aced that test.
See, I love the camaraderie. That's what I wanted to hear. Student camaraderie makes my heart just overflow with joy.
So me and Diem went through that because I didn't realize she was in my digital earth class as well. Yeah, GPS systems. But Professor Little, he did that to us. Like he close to the end of it, he started closing everything, and we're like, what? Wait, why are you doing this? How am I supposed to go back to this? So yeah, downloading those PowerPoints is key,
But having that
especially
information.
especially when there's no textbook. And I find it when it's the classes that does not provide a textbook that closes.
I do wonder why they do that in the minds of a professor. But I do know. Oh, yes, question.
Hi, thanks for being here. Really, your feedback on the way we teach is really helpful. I have a question about the communication, which seems to be a theme, that open and easy and respectful communication is really important to you. One of the things I do is to set up a schedule. You can sign up for meetings before classes start, one-on-one on Zoom or FaceTime or whatever you have. Regular meetings. I've started opening 2 sessions of labs that you can drop in on twice a week. No one comes. The lab sessions, you can earn extra credit, like buku extra credit, not like measly extra credit, like something that might actually affect your grade. No one comes. They sign up for some of them for the meeting, but never the week before. I have like 100 available. My question is, if they're so valuable, why isn't anyone doing them? It sounds attacking. I don't mean it to, but it's something I think is so important. And every student that has met with me always does better.
I'm not sure why anyone would not want to have such a valuable resource, because I go to school for business and we don't have that.
Only Mr. Little.
Yeah, only Professor Little had that drop in, hey, this is my hours, drop in anytime. We don't have that. So it's you have that and you don't use it. I don't understand why. I cannot explain.
It was an intercession class with Professor Little, and I think every week I use that source because I need it, because it's another software, and he taught me very well. But I use that source. If they don't use it, because you don't have us, that's why.
Yeah, if you had us, we would be on top of that constantly. Because let me tell you, we didn't get much extra credit at all. I didn't have any extra credit. And I would ask my teachers, and I'm like, I'm kind of failing this grade. Can I have extra credit? Do you want me to read an extra book? And they're like, yeah, we don't do that. And I'm like, okay, I'm failing that grade.
Sandra, do you have any experience?
Yeah, I would. I mean, what do you teach? Can I sign? Okay, I'll sign up for it and come to your, I'm extra credit, really?
That's a real question though.
I mean, the course I took, the deadline was the deadline, and you could turn it in late, but you would get 15% of what your grade would have been.
Oh, not off. It is 15%.
15,
That's
15% of 75. So yeah, get it done on time. And I understand there has to be deadlines and such, but I'm definitely planning on using the tutoring lab and doing some math to bump up my skills before this next 7-week course.
I want to add some insight to your question there, because in my experience, I do manage a course at City College, and more often than not, when I put myself out there, schedule time with me, I'm here, we're here to support you, your TAs, and the students, when we have that communication, TAs sometimes get down. They're like, oh, no one's responding, no one's coming to my office hours. It can feel heavy sometimes, but it's the fact that we're not going to give up. We want them to succeed. We want them to pass. And there are students that finally reach that breaking point. Sometimes that's what it takes. When a student reaches that breaking point, or they finally realize that urgency. But when you have that one-on-one conversation, you reach out a student that might have been ghost or a student that's normally unresponsive, when I sat down and reached out directly to that student, when I talk to them, more often than not, they have a full plate. There's a student that's supporting the family, that's working full time, that works crazy hours to make sure that their own people are good. So sometimes it does take that personal outreach, which can be difficult in larger sections, but that's when I figure out, oh, why isn't that student going to office hours? Why isn't that student taking the time to go to this thing when it's awesome, it's there, but everyone has complex lives. That's really what it comes down to. And depending on the population, the demographic of what you're teaching, it gets heavy. The family life, the work life, there's sometimes no balance, but we don't know that until we have that conversation with them. So I've wondered the same thing, and I never find the answer until the communication happens. Definitely. But I know it is 10 minutes. Oh, look, you all are brave. Oh, that's it. I was about to say you are brave souls for cutting into lunchtime, but.
So there is another question from the online. Someone asked, they were wondering how you feel about the proctoring software you mentioned earlier, where an instructor can observe you working.
So when it comes to proctoring, it's about cheating. It's like, I understand it's an invasion of my personal space. Like, I get it, but it's really about cheating. Like, there's no one there to say, hey, listen, are you really taking this exam? Or are you Googling every answer? Or is it your best friend that's taking this exam for you? Like, did you really do the work? It's really about the integrity of the college, not the student itself. So me personally, I don't really care. My professors, some professors, when it comes to midterms and finals, there's proctoring and there's nothing I can do about it. Some professors are not that way, but and the professors that are not that way, it's a project. They give you a project for the grunt of your grade. But with every class, each professor, if you look at that course information sheet and that syllabus, or if you attend preview week, because you guys have preview week, which is kind of cool, you get to know what you're getting into before you get into it. Like, they tell you point blank period, like, hey, listen, you see on the 15th, we're going to have this proctored exam, and this is how it's set up. I'm not changing it. So if you feel uncomfortable with it, then just don't do it.
Is there any
Do you find it helpful? Do you find proctor exams positive or negative experience?
The positive ones, you cannot cheat, so you have to learn, okay? Because if you want to get a good grade, you have to learn the class. But the other part is like somebody's stalking. I feel like somebody's stalking me. Okay, there's a camera and somebody is looking at from the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel anxious because I don't like it. But if you ask me yeah, it helped me because I studied a lot to get an A grade in reality.
The scare tactics. Okay.
Definitely the anxiety about that sounds awful. Mainly because of the fact you're already being timed on your tests, and now you're being looked at the same time, which is kind of, I don't know how you would be able to cheat on a computer when there's just a document. I mean, for me, when I would do my tests, it would just blow up my computer screen and not let me touch anything else. So I don't see how you could cheat with that.
You can.
You can.
Oh, well.
Perfect.
Sandra, do you have anything to add to that?
I haven't had any proctored exam, but like the timed exams definitely is a little nerve wracking. Like I mean, I know that there's a reason for that. For online classes, they can't leave it open forever because people could be looking stuff up. But sometimes I feel like even though I'm a good student, like it's taking the nerve wrackingness of watching that timer clicking down.
Yeah.
Puts a lot of anxiety on you.
I feel like the trust system is important. It's like lockdown browser is one thing, but to have that camera on you. It's like at one point there has to be trust. And if they're not learning, that's going to reflect largely on their grade. So there's definitely pros and cons to either, but are we ready to wrap it up?
Can I just one super quick question.
Okay.
If the proctoring service wasn't there, would you have cheated?
The loaded question.
No, even if I wasn't there, like I wouldn't have cheated. For me, it's a pride thing. And for me and my family, it's like we all compete academically. All of my baby cousins are in like a gifted program. So it's like, how dare you? I can't cheat. I have to be the best. Like I have to beat this little kid. Are you crazy? So it's like, for me, it's the competitive thing in me. I there's no point of cheating because I'm not going to learn anything, because every class is like an addition to the next thing that I have to do. So I take stat 1, I cheat on stat 1. When I get to stat 2, I'm like, huh? It doesn't help. So no.
Don't you look any one question or nothing? Yeah.
Nah.
I would. Honestly, I would. So that if I don't remember anything, I just look the formula or something. Of course.
And that's real, but it's like also in real life, we don't have proctored exams and
But in real life, you don't have to remember the formula because there is
Yeah,
software programs. So
see, this is the conversations that need to happen, not but like
no, instead I got 2 statistics. So I asked my friend, they don't do by themselves. There is software programs. You don't have to do it.
look, real life experience. Sometimes real life is not like the college course that we've seen that. Hailey, how do you feel about it?
Well, here's the thing. I know how to code. So I know how to get into programs if I need to, because I used to be a voice actress for an indie gaming company, and I learned how to use Reaper, which is creating, he gets it. What?
So would you cheat?
Never. I would never cheat. And it's just because it would weigh down on my soul. I would just feel awful about that. But at the same time, I love learning new things.
See, there's a correlation. When you appreciate learning, it's like you want to internalize that information. So Sandra, do you have any input before?
I'm good.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, but let's do a big SUNY round of applause. Thank you. And congratulations on graduating.
Awesome. Thank you to our panelists, and I hope you all learned something. It's lunch. Have fun.
Come on. Let's
Thank you all very much. We're breaking for lunch. We'll be back here. Oh, one announcement. I think I'm frozen to the seat.
So I just want to let the folks know, if you're in the doodle group, we're gonna grab your lunches and come back here to talk about